Welcome back to Renee's Way. I am Renee, of course, and I am back with another tutorial for you all. This video has been actually highly requested by a few subscribers, so of course I am here to give you all what you want. Today we are going to be learning how to do the double ruffle socks, okay? So these right here are the ruffle socks, and these are actually socks that I am making to go with this pretty outfit that is right here. So, but if you all would like to know how to do a tutorial on the tutu or the shirt, please put it in the comments and I'm going to give it to you all like I always do. But before I get started, if you have not already subscribed, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Also, welcome to all my new subscribers, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss the next video, okay? Also, I want to give a big shout out to Kalinda. I believe that's how you say her name. She is one of my subscribers who reached out to me on my website about a one-on-one class for ruffle socks. However, right now I am only doing local one-on-one classes, but if you all can get a small group together, maybe 4 or 5 people who would like to do a ruffle sock class, I will be more than willing to travel, okay? I love to travel, and that will give me a reason to go somewhere, and then I have some flight miles I have to use, so we definitely could get something together. So if you all would be interested in getting a group together, please reach out to me and we can get something set up, okay? But I am not going to hold you all any longer. I'm ready to get right into it, and we're going to go ahead and go over what we are going to need for this project, okay? So like any other the ruffle sock tutorials, you're going to need the exact same thing, nothing different, okay? So we need our scissors, and I did give me some new scissors, as you can see, like I said I was going to do. Also, you need lighter, so we can seal our ribbon at the end, and then you need your choice of ribbon. So right now I'm using 1.5 inch of satin. You can use satin or gross grain, and you can choose whichever width that you want to use. Just make sure that it's going to be the same size on each side of the tool, okay? So you want to make sure that you have enough ribbon to cover both sides of the tool for both pair of socks, okay? So make sure you have enough ribbon. Also, you need tulle, of course, and this tulle, along with this ribbon, can be purchased on my website, which is kudoscustomscrafts.com. Also, we are going to need thread, which I already have in my sewing machine. I'm not taking that out, but it is white thread because, like I mentioned on the other videos, I like to match my thread with my tool. So if my tool is white, my thread is white. You do not have to do it that way. Again, it's just my preference. Lastly, it's optional, but a hot glue gun, we will use that to connect the ribbon at the end once we finish the socks, okay? Also, for my ladies, if you are having trouble with getting the ruffle on the sock, I can make a tutorial on how to do the sockless ruffle socks, okay? So if it's just stressing you out, I do have an alternative for you all. So if you all would like to see that, please make sure you put it in the comments, and then I will make a video for you, okay? But let's go ahead and get started, ladies. So we're gonna go ahead, get our sewing machines together. I'm gonna put the measurements up on the screen, and let's go. So let's go ahead and get started. One thing I did forget to mention was you need, of course, your socks. So I do have my socks right here. These socks did come from Walmart, so they are the Wonder Nation brand that I always get. So we are going to be using these, and this is for a 2T to 3T. That's what size this outfit is for. And then I already have my tool cut. I'm using 1.5 yards. So you are going to need a total. So say if you was going to use 1.5 yards for one sock, you would need 3 yards of ribbon for this sock, and then 3 yards for the second sock, okay? So you want to double the amount of yards you are using because we are putting ribbon on each side. So to get started, I'm gonna grab my ribbon and I'm gonna go ahead and seal it. And then we want to go ahead and get our sewing machine set up and put on the tension is going to be on a 4, and then your stitch is going to be on a straight stitch. So whatever your sewing machine stitch is for a straight stitch is what you want to set it on. So I usually take it to a loose stitch, which mine is for a number 1. So my tension is going to be on 4, and then my stitch is going to be on a 1, okay? So, like the other tutorials, we are going to start off by sewing the ribbon onto the tulle. So if you have a shiny side or a printed side, you want to make sure that is face down, okay? So that is going to be face down and your tulle is going to be on top of it, okay? So we're going to go ahead, and what we're going to do with this, we're just going to straight stitch it. We're going to take a stitch all the way down, straight. We're going to take it, and I would say about as close to the edge as you can on this side. When you're sewing, I like to keep the stitch as close as possible to this, okay? You don't want to be like in the middle, and then you want your tulle to make sure your tulle is not exceeding this side, okay? If so, it's okay. You can just trim it at the end, or some people like to look where the tulle's out on this side. If that's your preference, then leave it like that, okay? But we're going to try to sew as close to this side of the ribbon as possible, okay? So tension is at a 4 and stitch is at a straight stitch, okay? So let's go ahead and get that part started. Oh, and somebody's doing fireworks. Nice, huh? All right. And I am gonna probably try to make sure that you all can see this. So, okay, so we are just gonna do a straight stitch all the way down the ribbon. So we're gonna start off, and if my sewing machine is a little rattly, this table is not a stable table, but I'm using it today, okay? So just bear with me. So let's go ahead. So we're gonna start off by doing a stitch, and then of course we're going to back stitch just a tad. And then we are just going to go straight all the way down. That is all we're doing, just like the rest of the tutorials. If this is your first time watching one of my tutorials, this is it. We're just going a straight stitch all the way down the ribbon, as closest to the edge as you can sew. So if you're pretty good at sewing, then get as close as possible. Just try not to get in the middle. I don't like to sew tulle in the middle just because it makes it easier to rip, okay? So the socks that I typically make, I have no issue with them ripping or anything like that. So we are almost at the end. Well, I'm almost at the end. You may not be at the end just yet, depending on how long your tulle was, depending on the size you're using. But I am almost to the end, and I'm going to back stitch. So we back stitch that, cut the thread off, and I believe I probably ran out of thread, so I'm gonna have to rethread my, one moment guys, I have to re-thread my bobbin. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the ribbon off of here and seal the ends of this. Okay guys, so we have the first side of the tulle and the ribbon sewn on. So we have our shiny side facing up. So what we are going to do next is you are going to flip it. So you want to make sure that your shiny side or your printed side is facing up still, okay? So then on the opposite side, on this side, we are going to place the ribbon to where it is face down again, okay? So on this side, the left side, where your left hand is, should be shiny side up, and then where your right hand is should be shiny side down, okay? You want to make sure that you are paying attention to that, because if you put both of the shiny sides on one side or both of the not shiny side, then it'll be flipped wrong, okay? So shiny side now is going face down on the right side, okay? So I am going to go ahead, and you want to seal your ribbon, and then just like the last side, we are just going to do a straight stitch all the way down on this side, okay? So we're gonna take it and put it on the machine. Start to stitch off a little bit, back stitch it, and then we are just gonna go straight down. So literally just repeating the same steps from the previous side, okay? The ribbon face down and just a straight stitch. Okay, so I'm getting close to the end. Okay, we are almost to the end, so we're just going to go up and then we are going to take it to the end, and then we're going to back stitch it and then come forward just a tad, and then we are going to cut the thread out. I'm going to cut the rest of my ribbon off, and then I am going to seal the ends of this. Alright, so I want to show you all how this should look. So we got two sides, okay? So on my right hand side, the tulle is on the front, and then on my left hand side, the shiny side is on front. However, it might be vice versa, however you're holding it, because now, you know what I'm saying, however you're holding it, but you want it to be opposite. It needs to be flipped. That's the way you know that you have done it correctly. So now we are going to take it and we're going to fold it. Let me get this extra string out. I'll cut that later on. I'll cut that thread. But we're going to fold it like a hot dog, okay? So when we fold it like a hot dog, we want to make sure that both the shiny side or the printed side is facing upwards, because we are going to come and we're going to take and put a stitch straight down here about 1/4 inch, okay? So we're going to take it, and then I kind of overlap it a little bit. So if you can see, it's just a small overlap, just a tad bit, okay? You don't have to, but I like to overlap it just a tad. So we are going to go ahead and put the stitch down. For this, I usually keep my sewing machine the same tension, 4 and for the tension, and then a 1 for the straight stitch, or the loosest straight stitch that you can do. With this, you want to make sure that you're using the loosest straight stitch that you have on your sewing machine. However, some sewing machines, the tension being on the 4 may not work, okay? If you feel like you're having trouble pulling this, once we get to that part, then you may need to change your tension to like a higher tension, because some of my last sewing machine, I had to have it on the tension on a 9 to make it a little bit easier for me to pull. But this one allows me to use the tension on a 4 and then the stitch on a 1, okay? So you may have to play around with it, but I would try it with the 4 first, okay? So with this, we are going to start it off. We're going to back stitch it just like any other time, and then we're just going to do a straight line all the way down, just like we did the ribbon, a straight line down. And you want to do it about 1/4 inch. And I'm just making sure that this is sewing straight. So I'll do like little increments just to make sure everything is going right. Take it and straighten it up. Okay, so we are almost at the end. However, we are not going to backstitch. We are going to go straight off the tulle. Okay, so straight off the tulle. Do not backstitch. So what I do is I usually pull the thread out and I keep it connected, because what we're going to do now is we are going to create our ruffle. Okay, so you want to do this by pulling one of the pieces of thread that is connected to your sewing machine. I have the bottom piece with the bobbin, and then you are just going to pull. Okay, so you pulling, I do it this way so that it doesn't come unravel or I don't lose the thread and then it comes loose and then I have to resew it. So what we are doing now, we're just pulling, still that same piece of thread, just pulling it down, and this is creating a ruffle. So as you can see, the ruffle is coming along, and then I will show you all if you all can. I can't tell if you all can see that well, but I'll show you all once I get finished what the ruffle is looking like so far. Okay, so once you get it ruffled, you want to have it not too tight, a little loose, just enough for you. You kind of want to eyeball it. Just make sure that it's big enough to wrap around the sock, okay? Because you have to stretch the sock as we go. So you want to make sure you have it enough. So, and if you have extra, you can cut it off if need be. But just try to eyeball it the best as you can. So I went ahead and cut the thread, and then I am going to tie it. Okay, so I'm tying the thread and I'm going to tie it in a knot. I'm just going to do it just so, like I said, the thread doesn't unravel and then I end up having to put another seam through. And then I'm just now trimming off the thread. So here is our ruffle so far. I'm gonna go ahead and take the remaining of the thread off of here so that it doesn't get in my way while we are sewing. So if you want to go ahead and just cut your excess thread off, you can, so that while we're sewing it onto the socks, it doesn't get into the way. All right. Okay, so we are ready to take the ruffle and put it onto the sock. Okay, so my trick that I always tell you all about, I take my sock and I turn it inside out. So the sock is inside out, and then you can see the little crease in the heel in the back. What I like to do is I like to start the beginning of my ruffle at the back, okay? And then you want to make sure that your shiny side or your printed side is facing down towards the sock, okay? So I have the beginning of my sock, the beginning of the back of my sock, and then the beginning of my ruffle, and I'm going to connect them. So I typically take the edge of the ruffle and the edge of the sock, and then that's where I start at. So I have the back of the sock and the start of the ruffle, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to sew this. So what we need to do to start the ruffle onto the sock is we need to change the settings on our sewing machine. So you want to take your sewing machine and put your tension to a 5, and then you want to take and put your stitch to a loose zigzag stitch, okay? So your loosest zigzag stitch, mine is a 4, whichever yours is on your sewing machine, that's what you want to change it to. So we have our sock inside out. We are starting from the back of the crease where the heel is. So you can see that little line always in the back of your sock, and that can be like a little guide for you. And then we are going to sew it. So let's go ahead and get this sewn on. If you need a better picture of how I am putting this on the sock, please check out the first ruffle sock tutorial, which will be in the description. It has a better view, but we are going to go ahead and we are going to take and start sewing this. So we want to, just like any other time, start off sewing just a tad, and then we're going to back stitch it. And then as you're going, you want to make sure that you're stretching the sock out, okay? So I usually put my thumb inside the sock. Like I said, I have another tutorial that shows you all exactly how I'm holding my hands and stretching the sock if you cannot see very well, or if you're having trouble with getting what I mean by that, okay? I will put that in the link as I stated, but you want to make sure that you are stretching the sock as you are going. So I am just stretching the sock, and then I like to hold my left hand, hold the ruffles down, okay, so that it's not gonna get caught up in the sewing machine. So I'm just gonna do a straight line with a zigzag stitch, and then I am just flipping the ruffles as we go to make sure that they are straight and that the edge of the ruffles is aligned with the edge of the sock. And then I am just holding the ribbon down to get it out of my way, and then I am just sewing. So stretch, my thumb is still over here, stretching, and I'm right-handed, so I have my right hand pulling the sock and it's stretching it out, and then I'm holding, my left hand is holding down the ruffles. And then with the stitch, I like to just go right below the seam that we did in the middle. I like to take my stitch right below it, or either right on top of it. But you want to make sure that you're under that stitch, okay? Because if not, then you will see that on the top of the sock. So we just want to keep stretching the sock. Most important thing is to stretch the sock as you go. If not, then it will be super tight around the ankle, okay? And it will make it hard for the child or person to put on. So I am just going around, pulling the sock, stretching it out, holding down the ruffles, and sewing slightly under the middle stitch, okay? And I am almost to the end of the sock, so which is where the two are going to meet at the back of the sock. So the start and the end. So what I typically do is I will kind of go over the first stitch, so I will overlap the two stitches from the start of the stitch to the end, overlap it so that there's not a gap. So right now I'm just going to overlap, and then I'm going to back stitch, okay? And then I am going to cut my thread, and I'm going to cut, I got a little extra piece of thread, okay? So now we still have our sock inside out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our sock and we are going to flip it the right way. So I just take my hands in and I pull it through, okay? And then I'll fix the top, and then, but as you can see, we got the back of the sock, and then we have our two openings, okay, are at the back of the sock. I say start that way so that those two openings don't end up in the front of the sock, okay? Because if it does that, it looks really crazy, okay? So now what we are going to do to give it the fluffy look is we are going to separate our ribbon, okay? So we are going to separate our ribbon. And I also am going to make a part 2 of this, because there is one more way that you can do this double ruffle that kind of sticks. Because this right here, sometimes the ruffles will kind of just sink back in together, depending on what type of tool you use and what type of ribbon you use. But this, okay guys, so I am so sorry. I was not aware that I was so out of the frame on majority of the videos. So please don't kill me, okay? I'm so sorry, I did not know. Okay, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show y'all real quick again what I meant by separating the ribbon and fluffing it, because you could barely see it, okay? So we have the sock, and this is already fluffed, but I just want to show you all. So you're just taking your top and bottom ribbon, and then you're literally just pulling it apart, okay? That's all you're doing, is taking it and pulling it apart and separating it, okay? That is it. And then that's how you get this look right here. Okay, and ain't that cute? Now you can see it. This is cute, isn't it? So what we're going to do is go ahead and end it by hot gluing the back of the ribbon. So we want to take the two back pieces and we are just going to glue them together, shiny side connected or printed side connected, and we're just going to take about 1 inch of hot glue and connect those two. So you want to take your top piece and make sure that those are connected, and then you're going to take your bottom piece. Okay, so I am connecting my top piece and then I will connect my bottom piece. So make sure you are connecting the bottom ribbon with the other side of the bottom ribbon and the top ribbon with the top side. All right, so now we have it glued together and they are ready to go. So I hope that this was not too hard for everyone. I hope it was easy for y'all to catch on. But as always, if you have any questions after watching the video, please put it in the comments and I will respond to you. Always, always, always. At least I will try to keep up with everyone's comment. I've been doing pretty good at that. So that is it. If you have any more questions, like I said, if you would like for me to do the sockless ruffle socks, if you're just over the actual ruffles, trying to get them on the socks, please let me know in the comments and then I will do a sockless ruffle sock tutorial for you. But until next time, guys, see ya.